Yerushalayim, the king of Judah, which is Yehoshaphat, a very righteous king. And he asked, will you please join me in the war against Moab? And when we read the psukim here, and this is a very clear case that we can't limit our understanding only to here. We have to broaden our understanding in Tanakh, look elsewhere. What is the response of Yehoshaphat? Whatever, of course. I'll go up and fight with you. What's mine is yours. My nation is your nation. My soldiers are your soldiers. My horses are your horses. We asked ourselves, what happened a few years ago? Yehoshaphat agreed to go to war against Ashur with the father Achav, and he almost got killed. He almost got killed, Yehoshaphat. This was the end of the days of Achav. He got killed in the war, and they almost killed Yehoshaphat. What did Yehoshaphat do? He prayed to God and did tshuva the last second, and his life was salvaged. So we ask ourselves, didn't he learn a lesson? Why again join a wicked man like the son of Achav? By the way, in the book of Chronicles, in Divrei Yamim, Yehoshaphat is rebuked. He's criticized by a prophet. Why did you join a wicked man and go to war? Why did you join Achav? He was ridiculed. The prophet said, you made a mistake. And he does tshuva. So we ask ourselves here in this chapter, what's going on? Why is he joining? And therefore we studied, in our last time that we saw this, we opened up the book of Chronicles, Divrei Yamim 2, chapter 20, and we were, wow. We saw that Moab infiltrated in a war. They came into Ein Gedi, off of the Dead Sea, and they infiltrated into Judea. We didn't read all of the events, but miraculously, Judah, the tribe of Judah, ruled by Yehoshaphat, was saved. Remember, he made a tremendous congregation, assembly in the Holy Temple. He called the Jewish people there together. Let's do tshuva. Judah was saved in that war. This war that the king of Israel, Yoram, decides to go to war against Moab. Some explain, like Rav Yigal Ariel from the Golan, that this is a continuation of that war. The continuation of that war. And you may ask, well, maybe I better understand why Yehoshaphat joins. Because it could have been that he was hit very hard by Moab in that previous war. And now he wants to get back at them. In other words, this war, led by the Israeli kingdom, the northern kingdom, Yehoshaphat joins because this is a continuation of a previous war that Moab infiltrated to Ein Gedi by the Dead Sea and did some harsh things to Israel. That's not the entire novelty. We're going to see more, but this gives us an understanding, a background. Now what happens? They get together, and who joins them? It says they're being joined by the king of Edom. Do you see verse 9? Vayelach Melech Yisrael, uMelech Yehuda, uMelech Edom, 3 kings. What is Edom doing there? The truth of the matter, Edom is under the rule of Judah. Ever since David went to war hundreds of years ago and conquered Edom, ever since then they have been like a satellite state of the Jewish people of Judah. So who is their king? Someone that we appointed, that he must be a nice boy and live and adhere to, be disciplined to whatever Israel needs. So the fact that there's 3 kings, Melech Yisrael, Melech Yehuda, Melech Edom, it's 2 kings plus a satellite state that we're running. Okay? And they're joining together to go to war against Moab. We learned in our last shiur, how do they approach Moab? instead of doing what we thought they would do, cross the Jordan River and attack from north to south, they go far, far south. After the Dead Sea, where the dry area, the desert area is called the Arava, they cross inland, and they're going now north from Edom to Moab. Surprise. What's the surprise? Moab is probably expecting attack from where? From the north. And now we're coming from the south. However, a major problem arrives. What arrives? Not enough water. Not enough water. Now, who should have known about this matter? Everyone should have thought about this matter, and there's not enough water. Could it be that this is the plan of Hashem to get them, to cause them to do tshuva? Look what the king of Israel says in verse 10. Vayomer Melech Yisrael. Okay, do you have it? Vayomer Melech Yisrael. Aha! It's an expression of sorrow. I lost the place. Aha ki kara Hashem l'shloshta melachim eila latetotam biyad Moab. In other words, the king of Israel is full of fear. He's very scared. What is he afraid of? That maybe God is working behind the scenes here in order to deliver all of us in war against Moab. God is punishing us. This is what's sensing the king of Israel, who's, adopted a lot of idolatry. He's gotten rid of some of the idolatry, but he's bad, he's wicked like his father, almost like his father Achav. And now he's introspecting and saying, we're in trouble. Maybe this is an incident that Hashem opportuned. Do you follow? Yeah. Hashem opportuned this. In other words, and maybe we have to do tshuva. Who thinks the right thing what to do? Verse 11. Vayomer Yoshaphat. Notice the word king does not appear here. It doesn't say King Yoshaphat. It says Vayomer Yoshaphat. Ha'ein po navi l'Adonai v'nidrasha et Adonai me'oto vayan echad me'avdei melech Yisrael vayomer po Elisha ben Shaphat asher yatzak mayim ha'yedei Eliyahu.
That also happened with Ahab.
That he did some sort of tshuva. Here, Yoshaphat is a righteous person, just like he said in the former war, we should ask a prophet, should we or not go to war? Here too, although he says we should ask a prophet, it's already, maybe should have asked a prophet a week ago, before they started traveling in the desert and crossing into the territory. But let's leave that aside. And he asks for a prophet. So why doesn't it say that he's a king here? The Radak says it proves his humility. Even though he's king, when he wants to talk about meeting with a prophet of God, it's as if he's taking off his royal clothing. He's called here, not the king Yoshaphat, he's called Yoshaphat. Again, the Radak says this in the name of some other Rishonim to show us and demonstrate how humble he is, that he wants to be humble before the prophet. What did you want to say?
You clarified my concern.
Okay. Now, what are they told? Elisha's here. With the soldiers, Elisha's here. What's he doing here? Apparently the kings didn't know that the prophet is with them. There are thousands of soldiers or tens of thousands of soldiers, and the prophet is there. What is he doing there? Now, usually, when we go to a war, who is the cheerleader of Israel? Who gives us a sermon, a strategy talk? There's someone called Kohen Mashuach Milchama. There's a Kohen who's anointed for the purpose of stirring, encouraging, cheerleading the Jewish people to go to war. Don't be fearful. God is with you. So that's usually the situation, that when the Jewish people go to the war, as far as the Torah is concerned, there's a commandment to appoint a Kohen Mashiach, anointed for this role as the head of the nation, to encourage the people to go to war. Okay? Is there one right now? No. Who could be doing the job? The prophet Elisha. Elisha, maybe that's the reason why he joined the army, to be the coach, spiritual leader for the Jewish people to go to war. Yet, he's not in a major position. He's very, how should we call it, amami. He's with the low-ranking soldiers. He's not with the high-ranking soldiers. Even the kings don't know he's there. He's right now in discreet, what is it called? Incognito. Is that a Spanish word? Yeah. He's right now not known by the others. Now, we want to say that this war is a continuation of the war that we read about, again, in the book of Chronicles, in chapter 20, that there we're talking about a miraculous victory. Israel over the Moabites. And that's told to us only where? In the book of Divrei Yamim. And that helps explain why Yoshaphat is agreeing. Questions or comments?
Why didn't the king of Yehuda disagree of joining back the...
He wants to go back and go to war again against Moab, to smack them, to tell them, you're not going to attack us anymore. Formerly, they infiltrated into Israel, Judean area, the Judean hills, and they fought us, but miraculously, we're told that we won the war. Now, yes, what's your question?
Yehoshaphat's
Stand. Yeah.
Why was there not a Navi for it to come along with his camp?
He didn't ask for one. Sometimes there has to be an awakening of the Jewish people to merit to speak with the prophet. But interestingly enough, he didn't ask for one. Furthermore, what does it mean? Elisha's here, the one that poured water via Eliyahu. What kind of pouring water are they talking about? He's known for a miracle of pouring water. What does the Midrash tell us? Do you remember when Eliyahu Navi was alive and kicking at Mount Carmel, and there was a big collection of Jews, idolaters and true Jews and true prophets and false prophets? What did Eliyahu demand to be built? An altar. He'll build an altar. The false prophets build an altar. They're going to put wood on top and bring sacrifices. And they're going to pour water around the altar and wait to see if fire will come down from heaven. And if you can burn the sacrifice with all the water there. Where did the water come from? We asked a question when we studied this 2-3 months ago. And we thought maybe they brought water from the Mediterranean Sea. But you know what? We're now told here, as the Midrash explains, miraculously, Eliyahu had water pouring all around the Mizbeach. And do you know who he used? The hands of Elisha. It's as if the fingers of Elisha were fountains of water. That's what the Radak says, and he brings the Midrash. He says the following. What is Yatzak? He poured water via Eliyahu. We're talking here at Mount Carmel. When he filled up the altar area and the canal with water, Elisha was the one pouring the water with Eliyahu, and a miracle happened, and 10 of his fingers turned into springs of water until the entire ta'ala. How do you say ta'ala in English? There's canal. The entire canal area is filled with water. So, interesting. He is known, Elisha, for doing miracles with water. He did it beforehand by the Yericho waters. And now he's there. And he's told he can do these miracles. Wow. So therefore, let's continue reading here in Pasuk Yud Bet, verse 12. Vayomer Yoshaphat Yeshoto Devar Adonai. Here he is. He probably has the words of God with him. Certainly, he's with us. You know why he's with us? To reveal what is the prophecy of God. Now, the prophet's there, but you have to request it. You have to ask for it. Vayirdu elav. They go down to him. Why did they go down to him? Melech Israel, V'Yoshaphat u'Melech Edom. Notice, they're going down, showing honor. We, the kings, are going down. And by the way, again, who's not mentioned as a king? Yoshaphat. Again, in honor of the Navi, the kings are going down to speak with Elisha the prophet, and he's there with the soldiers, and Yoshaphat again humbles himself that the name king is not even mentioned. But now we hear a problem. Elisha gets angry. Pasuk Yud Gimel. How do you do, Elisha? Would you please come here? Can you help us out? We're about to die. There's no water here for the thousands of troops. Verse 13. Vayomer Elisha. You see it? Verse 13. Vayomer Elisha el Melech Yisrael. Mali valach. What do I have to do with you? Lecha nevi'ei avicha v'nevi'ei mecha. Go to the prophets of your father and your mother. Meaning, Achav and Izevel. What kind of prophets did he have? False prophets, not the real prophets. What do you want from me? I have nothing. What do we have to do with me? Go to the prophets of your parents. Wow, he's angry at him. Vayomer Melech Yisrael, please do not. Why? Ki kara Hashem lishloshet hamlachim ela latet otam biyad oyev. What does he say? He says, please, we're in a great danger right now. All three of us as kings right now, maybe under the supervision of God, we're going to be wiped away. We're going to be delivered to the hands of Moab. In other words, right now we're in a great danger. What does the prophet say to this? Vayomer Elisha Chai Hashem Tzevot. He makes a swearing, an oath. Chai Hashem Tzevot. These are the words of an oath in God's name. Asher amareti lefanav. By the fact that I'm standing before God. Kilulei pnei Yoshaphat melech Yehuda noseh. If I would not be here to honor the king of Yehuda, im abita elecha, I wouldn't even look at you. V'im ereka, I would not even demonstrate before you. What's going on? Wow, he's really angry at the king of Israel, Yoram. Wow, he's angry at him very much. If it would not be for the guy standing next to you, I wouldn't even talk to you. I wouldn't give you the time of day. Gentlemen, in order for there to be prophecy, okay, there must be an atmosphere of righteous Jews. Of righteous Jews as much as possible. And right now, we have a problem. There's one righteous king there, Yoshaphat, and there's a wicked king, the son of Achav. We call this situation, what are the odds? Right now, you're a statistician, you're a mathematician. What are the odds? Will Elisha get prophecy? We could say here the odds are 50-50, right? The odds are 50-50. Will he get prophecy? If so, it's because of the tzaddik Yoshaphat. Or not get prophecy because of the wicked king, and that is Yehoram. So right now, it's not a good situation, number one. Number two, what does the prophet ask for? What does the prophet ask for in verse 15? V'ata, and now, kechuli minagen, bring me idan. Bring a musician here to play music. Why? Vayakin again, let him play music. Vati alav yad Hashem. And maybe upon it will be the hand of God. What does music have to do with anything? Music is happiness. Well, why is happiness lacking over here? Two answers. One answer, Chazal say that, like the Rambam says in the laws of the foundations of Torah, chapter 7, prophet cannot get prophecy anytime. He doesn't turn on a switch and he gets prophecy. Rather, he has to be smechim v'tovei lev. The Rambam says for a prophet to receive prophecy, he has to be in a state of happiness, of joy, goodness, and be alone. Why? Because prophecy does not come upon a prophet out of sadness, not out of laziness, but only out of happiness. Therefore, many of the students of the prophets, they were playing drums, they were playing harps, they were playing violins, because music gladdens the soul. Music makes, watch, when he hears music, you can see how he's smiling all the time. Why is Elisha not so happy here? Two reasons. He could be saddened, some of the commentaries say, because of the loss of Eliyahu. The fact that his rabbi, his teacher, Elijah, is no longer here, he's saddened. Therefore, he needs someone to play some music to make him more happy. Furthermore, another reason will be the anger. He's angry, and he expresses his anger at who? Yehoram the king. What happens when a person becomes angered? Do you get angry once a week, once every 2 weeks? Or once a month? Once a year? Not even. Once in 10 years. Okay, you're in good shape. Right? He's in good shape. What happens when someone gets anger? Do you know what he loses? Do you know what he loses? He loses his ability to prophesize. Rabbi Shimon ben Levi, in the Yalkut Shimon, he says, anyone that gets angered, if he's a wise man, his wisdom is removed. If he's a prophet, his prophecy is removed. Where do we learn this from? For instance, Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu, in the war against Midian, in the book of Bamidbar, he gets angry. Why didn't you kill the women? And because of that, he loses some of his wisdom. And if a prophet, his prophecy is removed because of his anger, the Midrash asks, where do we learn this from? Elisha, right here. Elisha got angry at Yehoram and said, if it would not be for Yehoshaphat, I wouldn't even look at you. I wouldn't even look at you. So because of that, he asked for someone to play some music. Why? When you get angry, you lose your prophecy. Elisha right now loses his ability to prophesize and therefore asks for a musician to play music. What do you want to say? Okay. Apparently, I would assume that he does get music because now he offers a prophecy. Pasuk Tet Zayin, verse 16. Vayomer, Ko Amar Adonai, Aso Hanachal Hazeh, gave him. Kicho Amar, I'm reading next pasuk. Kicho Amar Adonai, Lo Tir'u Ruach, Velo Tir'u Geshem, Vanachal Ha'u Yemalei Mayim, Ushtitem, Atem u'miknechem uvemtechem. Wow. Is this one prophecy or two prophecies? What do you notice repeated over here, gentlemen? Ko Amar Hashem. It's brought twice. You would have thought if this is one prophecy, all the prophet has to say, this is what Hashem said to me. Ko Amar Hashem. But he says it twice. So we're asking, if Yoram is hearing, and everyone is hearing one prophecy, then why is the term Ko Amar Hashem stated twice? So there are those. First of all, let's explain what the miracle is, and then we'll explain what the effect will be. The Nachal, you know what a Nachal is? A wadi, the lower part in between mountains. In this summertime, the Nachal, it's a riverbed, it's dry, right? In our area of the Mediterranean, Middle East, we don't have rain in the summertime. And therefore the Nachal is usually dried up. Now, what are we told? This Nachal will be filled up with waters, pools of water. Now, will it be the wind bringing it? No. Will it be rain bringing it? No. It'll fill up by itself. In other words, a miracle inside a miracle. The announcement that waters will fill up the Nachal is number one. And now, the soldiers, the animals, can go ahead and drink and live. But number two, why is it a miracle inside a miracle? Because if the Israeli soldiers now have water, it will stimulate their salvation. It will stimulate their victory. So that's what we call a nes betoch hanes. That's how some of the matters are going to be happening. Now, if I ask you, is the magnitude of this miracle great, or is the magnitude of this water miracle small? Look what the Tanakh says. Pasuk Yudchet, verse 18. V'nakal zot be'einei Adonai, v'natan et Moav b'yadchem. Rashi and the Radak and the Rabbi, these Rishonim say, in the eyes of God, the magnitude of this miracle is small, okay? As opposed to what the victory will be in a moment, okay? In the eyes of, the question in the eyes of who? In the eyes of God, it's small. However, let me say the following. If this place is always dry, or it's the summertime and it's dry, then it's a great miracle. And that's what we're talking about. The area is usually without water. And therefore, there might be a very big surprise for the enemy. What surprise? As we're going to read it soon. But the objective of the water is that Israel wins a victory against Moab. You follow? Wins a victory against Moab. If we continue in Pasuk Yutet, verse 19, the instructions of the prophet are very strange. What is the order? Number one, Vikitem kol ir mivtzar. You shall smash, like the Israeli army is doing in Gaza, every fortified city. Number two, V'chol ir mivchor. Destroy every selected special city. Number three, V'chol eitz tov tapili. Uproot every good tree, meaning trees with fruits. Number four, V'chol ma'inei mayim tistomu. Close up every cistern, every fountain of water. V'chol ha'chelka tova, every good piece of land. Tachivu ba'avanim, throw stones on it. What's difficult here? Anyone learned the Torah in the book of Devarim? What are we allowed or not allowed to do in regards to trees, fruit trees? What does the Torah say? Do you remember, Amram?
In the year of Shemitah,
What are we not allowed to do according to the Torah when we go to war?
cutting out trees.
The Torah says, you're right, very good. You're not allowed to cut out trees. You're not allowed to uproot trees. Okay? Man is likened to a tree. So what's going on? How can this be permitted? How can this be permitted if the Torah prohibits it? Could Elisha go up against the Torah, God forbid? So there are several answers to this question. One answer is, the order here is to destroy Moab. Destroy Moab. And when you're asked to destroy Moab, that includes, that's it, everything. We're not here talking just putting a siege, and you're going to need a fruit tree later for some food consumption. Here, we're talking about a different situation, not according to the rules of the Torah. We're talking about that the order is to destroy. That's one answer. Number two, it could be that under the Torah law, it's really forbidden, even in this situation. However, the prophet is telling us what we call Hora'at Sha'ah. This is an instruction for the hour, and this hour only, meaning just like Eliyahu Navi on Mount Carmel allowed the building of a Mizbech and offerings on the top, even though we have the Beit HaMikdash in Yerushalayim, so too now. There's a Hora'at Sha'ah, it's an instruction for this hour ordained by the prophet, unlike the Torah, but the Torah is eternal. This is only for now and now only. Those are two answers that some of the great commentators enjoy giving. There's a third answer, and that there's some historical evidence why we're going out to destroy them. Why? Yes, just win the war and go back. Why destroy them? There are findings, archaeological and historical findings, that Moab, went up to the area of Reuven and Gad, and they killed and murdered a great number of Jews in those two tribal areas. Some say to the extent of almost a Holocaust in the Reuven, even though it's not mentioned here. Maybe in our next year or the one after, we're going to see some sources in Yirmiyahu that maybe lead us to understand that, wow, Moab did so much trouble, so much hatred to the Jewish people, and they killed so many. Therefore, Elisha is commanding them, destroy them.
Yeah,
It's like a war of vengeance.
That's why we have to get away of our bad neighbors, as the Gemara states.
That's right, we have to get rid of the bad neighbors.
But that also brings consequences, because if we do not destroy them, then it happens that they will
Get back at us.
assassinate us. Yeah.
Maybe, maybe not, but this is the prophet saying this. He's getting the message l'chora from Hashem. God is telling the prophet to tell the kings, go destroy them. Destroy their cities, destroy their trees economically, close up their waters, let them suffer. Okay? Like today. What do you think of the Gazan people? Did they not support the Hamas in this war?
For sure, they are
Of
Hamas.
course. What innocent
Those
bystanders?
10 years later will become like Shahid. And
You
something
don't,
like that.
of course, you don't have to be an expert of what's happening. We've been told by soldiers, someone sitting at this table has had 3 sons fighting in the war here. And almost every house, do you know what they found almost in every house? Weapons. You hear that? Weapons. What are they saying? Innocent bystanders. They should be killed as well. Starve them to death for a few days, and then you'll see they'll hand over the kidnapped. Vote for me to become chief of staff. I'm just joking. We'll continue the next time. Kale daber, huh?